Good afternoon and welcome to Acumen Stadium, the site of OFC football. St.Clair Fratmen set to do battle against the GTA Grizzlies. Hello everybody, my name is Dominic Papa. Of course, joining me on our broadcast, the doctor of football, Badia Kwas. And hey, happy Halloween to everybody. We got some Halloween costumes here at the stadium. It's going to be a fun day for sure. And Badia, the atmosphere is great. We got a perfect day for fall football.
Absolutely. We couldn't have asked for a nicer day. The sun is out. There is no rain in the forecast coming forward with a light breeze, which is what you would expect for a fall day here in Windsor.
I'm going to be straightforward here, Coach Kwas. You look at the matchup on paper here today. You've got the Fratmen, perfect 6-0 coming into this game, and you got the GTA Grizzlies, a perfect 0-7, of course, and they're coming here with a short roster today. This is looking like a mismatch. I don't want to call it that, but if the Fratmen really bring their A game, this one could be done early.
Yeah, I will call it a mismatch. I will take the harder route here, and quite frankly, the Fratmen don't even have to have their A game. They can bring their B- game, and they should comfortably win this. It's not to slight GTA. They are shorthanded. They have had another struggle to the season, obviously not winning a game yet this year, and it's just that last game of the year where they know they have nothing to play for next week because their season will end today, so they have an uphill battle, obviously.
And for the Fratmen, let's focus on the home team here if we can, Coach Kwas. For the Fratmen, I mean, postseason, they've already gained home field advantage. They've clinched that. So now it's time for Coach LaChance and the staff to really start fine-tuning this team. So these games are going to be taken seriously, and there's a lot of work to be done.
Absolutely. The big picture is win today, take care of business. You got one last regular season game next week, but you're planning. Right now is the step where you're trying to execute game plans going into playoff mode. Your focus has to be laser sharp, and the coaching staff, I know as I spoke to them earlier before the game, is to execute perfectly. Take care of the ball, no stupid penalties, and get out of here healthy leading into that long playoff run, hopefully, for the Fratmen.
A lot of people would call. I don't even want to call it a trap game. It's not a trap game. This is a game where it's a mismatch, as you called it. But you know, for the Fratmen, again, we talked about the playoffs, everything that's coming up. How well is this team playing right now, Coach? And if you talk to Coach LaChance, Coach Morency, and the gang there, they'll tell you there's still a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah, from a bird's eye view where we watch the game, everything looks good in that they're explosive. Their playmakers are making plays. The coaches are getting their players to make the plays. So everything looks good on paper and in the grand scheme of like the highlight reel. However, if you start breaking down the little things, the execution, when you play a team like GTA or Quinte or even some of the Londons and Hamiltons, they've made enough mistakes that if they're not careful when they play a London or a Hamilton in a meaningful championship game, or if you want to project forward when you have to play at a national level, those mistakes are amplified, and there's enough mistakes on film for them to actually say, gentlemen, we have to work harder in order for us to accomplish our goal.
There will be mistakes made today. We know that. That's why it's a wonderful game, this football game. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we're going to have the opening kickoff for you. It's the St.Clair Fratmen hosting the GTA Grizzlies on Halloween afternoon. You're watching.
Game is underway after the kickoff, set off by the Grizzlies. The Fratmen returned it all the way to midfield to begin today's matchup. This is going to be an interesting one with a fair bit of significance for the Fratmen side in particular, a chance to clinch first today.
Yeah, Justin, I think a formality. You got a shorthanded Grizzly team. Once they take care of business today, we can start talking playoffs.
Underway to start things off with multiple flags popping up. Michael Beal had also bobbled around the snap. Time of the whistle. Today's officiating crew quickly getting to work. The referee, Chris Patton, the umpire, Bruce Carter, Corey Cousins, Laurie Rogers, John Dodson, Byron Griffin.
Offside, GTA, 5-yard penalty, play first down.
Yeah, the indication isn't offsides, and I mean, you had a receiver on the top side for the Frat who was also offside, and the center didn't really have a clean exchange with Beal right off the get-go either.
So it's now 1st and 5 at the GTA 50-yard line. Beal, the quick throw, complete. Jared Hayes-Williams cuts to the outside and up for a first down and then some.
Yeah, and speaking with some of the coaches before the game, I think they just want to execute some simple plays, making sure that you're going to throw that out. It's on time, on schedule. You catch the ball, and as you see, there are officials now posted in the screen, and we see the picture of our head referee, Chris Patton, winding in the play.
See how busy they are today as Beal starts off in 1st and 10 with this throw over the top for Dante Lewis, incomplete. That makes it 2nd and 10.
Yeah, that one there, it just looked like Michael just didn't finish the throw. He just has to snap that over the top a little bit more violently, and there's some weather conditions here. Have a beautiful day here, Justin. The wind might be a factor, gusting up to those 31 kilometers, but
Number
otherwise,
3, GTA,
and we do have another
penalty, repeat first
on the
down.
field. It looks like GTA was offside, so the Frat are going to get a free 5 out of that.
So instead of what would have been 2nd and 10, it's 1st and 5 still. And that weather, keep in mind, much different compared to the past couple of days where it had been fairly rainy. Beal, wide open throw, touchdown. Jared Hayes-Williams with the reception, and the Fratmen are quickly on the board within the 1st minute and 4 seconds.
Yeah, and the Fratmen are working into the wind right now, and that was a throw that was going to be either caught or incomplete. Nicely done. You'll see here on the replay. Michael puts enough air under it, and he puts it right to the pylon where all the receiver has to do is reach out, catch it at the high point. 1 foot comes down, and in this league, 1 foot is good enough. Complete control through the process, and that starts off the early lead at 6-0, which we're assuming this is going to get up there pretty quickly given what happened the first time around, Justin.
The first time around, keep in mind, it was 63-1 St.Clair Fratmen on August the 29th. Up and good. But the extra point to make it 7-0. Now keep in mind as well when it comes to the Fratmen today, they come in as one of 3 undefeated teams in the CJFL and looking to try and keep that on before the postseason charge with a couple games left to go.
Yeah, and I know the coaches aren't necessarily talking about undefeated. The bigger picture is win the conference and then play the national championship. But what they are trying to look for in this game is a clean game, making sure that they don't take unnecessary risks, don't put any players in harm's way, making sure they take care of the football, making sure that they don't take any stupid penalties and there are no ejections that could subsequently lead to missed games in the finale next week or possibly the semifinal in a couple weeks.
Good points there, especially since on the takeaway side, 7 fumbles throughout the season for the Fratmen, 4 interceptions, 3 turnovers on downs. Jake Holloway has this season off kickoffs booted the ball 50 times, netting average yardage of 46.3. Back to return, will be 2 of the Grizzlies sent to bring things on forward. Keep an eye on number 7 today, Cliff Jerry Carano. He'll be among the blockers for this return this time. Being cut now to the right side. Brought on down the return. It's Matthew Costa, the slot back.
Yeah, and the wind played a little bit with it, killed the ball a little bit, took a fortunate bounce into Costa's hands. What I would like to see him do, though, is keep the running straight forward. The Fratmen team is clearly the faster of the 2 teams. The more sideways you go, the more likelihood there's going to be a hit from the side jarring the ball loose. Nonetheless, a half-decent return and fair starting position for the visitors, and they are clearly shorthanded right now. Their offensive line, you could probably tell, there's a couple people that are just a little smaller by the standards of this league.
Among some of the major scratches, their leading tackler on the season, their kicker, and their leading rusher. They start off with a pass incomplete, and that will knock the quarterback Alex Purvis's completion percentage now below 50% on the season.
Yeah, and he was trying to target his running back number 20, Elio Amedia, and that was just the defense did a nice job. Linebacker scraped over the top of that. Even if they had completed it, it likely would have been for a loss of yards.
So make it 2nd and 10. Ball is spotted at the 22-yard line. Just approaching 2 minutes into play in the first quarter here on Wheat Digital. Looking to pass once again, Purvis. Short throw complete and quickly brought down by a sea of Fratmen. That makes it 3rd and long.
Yeah, and the offensive line, it looked like they tried to maybe get out and potentially get some sort of flow, but the pressure got there so fast. Quarterback did not even have time to even check to anyone else, had to dump that off to the running back and gobbled up right away, and looks like about a maybe 2 or 3 yard loss on the play. But we do have the officials moving the ball back to the line of scrimmage, which might indicate that there was a either penalty.
Here comes the signal.
Okay. Offside, St.Clair, 5-yard penalty.
So
Repeat,
the
second
defense
down.
has to come back up, and it's going to bring up a 2nd and 5, so a little bit of a break for the Grizzly, and maybe they can get some positive momentum and turn this into a 1st down. And again, we're not expecting too much from the visitors today, but it is an opportunity for them to maybe get some stats on the board early and maybe build a little bit of confidence.
Alex Purvis so far, starting things off pass heavy, had 22 for 44 coming into today, a touchdown, 2 interceptions on 264 yards, passing, averaging 6 per pass attempt. Multiple whistles blow as the play clock had reached full zeros. And we'll see what the discussion leads to here from Chris Patton and crew.
Yeah, it is delay of the game. You can see
Time count violation. GTA, 5-yard penalty.
there was a little bit of coaching/officiating going on. You see referee Chris Patton indicating that there are play clocks at each corner of the end zone for the quarterbacks to see. So at least that way he's aware that once it's blown in, the clock starts up again and they got to get out of the huddle a little bit more quickly.
I will say this, when I was down field side preparing roster side of things with the GTA Grizzlies, some of the players walking in were amazed by this complex and the construction progress for it. This one overthrown and nearly intercepted on 2nd and 10, and now make it 3rd down yet again.
And you know what, Justin? The players should be. A lot of visitors have come here and said, wow, the last handful of years has been a little bit of a carousel here for the Fratmen, having played games at the University of Windsor, at E.J. Lejeunesse High School, at Windsor Stadium, and now they have a home as part of the St.Clair College and the St.Clair Fratmen. Now they have a facility to be proud of that can sort of hold its water against anyone in the conference or in the country for that matter.
Now this is the interesting part of today. Today, the punting duties, starting off with Liam MacArthur, a linebacker. MacArthur, couple steps, bit of a lower punt trajectory, bounces its way into the hands of Marcus Cooper. Cooper tries to cut left, brought down at the GTA 50-yard line. A solid return.
It was a good punt. He got it off. They were able to get a clean execution of the snap. Unfortunately, it looks like there's at least one GTA player that seems a little bit hobbled, and that will be a growing concern considering there are some 22, 23 players dressed for this game, which you can't afford any injuries at this
Illegal
point
block.
in time.
St.Clair, number 96.
Yes, that one
10-yard
player
penalty.
was Davian
1st down.
Braithwaite, number 5 for today. And there's an error signal here coming in to move it back a little bit more.
Yeah, there was an illegal block, which is going to push it back the 10 yards, and that's just going to set the Fratmen back to their own 50 rather than the opponent's 50.
So either way, Michael Beal looks to get back to work. That last pass got him to 21 touchdowns on the season. He entered today with 1,366 yards and the best pass efficiency rating with 149. Starting off with the ground game, Savoni off and away to the races down at the 30. And Savoni approaching 700 yards now in the season with that rush.
Yeah, Jacobs had an excellent year. The offensive line has actually quite impressed me the last couple weeks, considering they have not been at full power. They still do not have their full crew together.
Yeah, this running game has been very strong, we'll say, for the Fratmen side. That time knocked down quickly, and some pushing and shoving off the ball as well. No indication of flag marker, 2nd down, pick up about 1.
Excellent play by the defensive end, number 3, David Kenley. He was able to knife off his end spot and chop out Savoni for a very minimal gain.
Savoni, keep in mind, averaged 6.8 yards per carry entering today. Beal, 2nd down throws, trying around the corner, pushing ahead. Cody Holmes brought down short of the markers. That'll make it third and about medium.
Yeah, and this is another opportunity for the Fratmen to look at this from a practice standpoint here. And you'll see here on the replay, just a three-step drop, a quick throw, gets it in one of your best players' hands. Cody Holmes tries to make a man miss, but a good job by the defender to at least lasso him down. And now we're going to see a field goal attempt. Fratmen have not tried very many field goals this whole season, and they're trying to look at actually making what would be, their third field goal of the season?
And the longest they've made this season is 30. This would be about 30 this time, with the wind gusting around. Hallway, the kick from the right hash marks. Up and good, 10-0.
Yeah, and that's something that you want to see, at least have some film work on. You don't know as the season progresses when you get in deeper into the playoffs, and obviously as you progress through a playoff season, every week the opponent is better, or should be better. You never know when a field goal is going to be the difference in the win, an extra point, the mechanics of it, and you see here our game score already showing a recap just 5 minutes into it.
Yep.
Nice little Halloween theme to the scoreboard here. And you see the coaches talking. That looks like it's Coach McCurdy talking to Marcus Cooper, just saying a little bit about that return on the last punt as the Grizzlies take the ball at the 35.
So they set things on up very far back. Keep in mind, all the way about nearly 10 yards back, the quarterback to start off this drive. The throw to the slot back, complete. Marked down enough for a first down. And a nice quick catch that time.
Yeah, you do. You hit it right on the head there. The quarterback was lined up almost 9 yards back, a little deeper than a normal shotgun. I mean, I'm not going to call that a shotgun. I'm going to call that a long-barreled rifle rather than a whatever you have. And he was in a full 9 yards, but I think he's trying to do that to buy himself some time from the pressure standpoint. But they did complete the pass, and they picked up about 20 yards and moved it closer to midfield.
There it is again. How about 9 yards? Now exactly 10 yards back this time for the next 1st and 10. Ball spotted at the 49. Approaching halfway to the first quarter already. Purvis takes the snap and whistles blow. A flag is down to the far side of the field, around the 50.
All right, the question's going to be, the right tackle looked like he was rocking in his stance, so I would suspect that that's a procedure unless the defensive man moved, but it did look like to me that the offensive man was
Offside.
blocking. And
St.Clair, number 92.
They're going to call
5-yard
it
penalty.
against the Fratmen.
Repeat first down.
So free 5 yards here.
Already a few penalties against St. Clair. Is that a major concern already, picking up 2-3 penalties in the first 6-7 minutes?
Well, this one here isn't as much of a concern. Like, you're trying to get off in time, and early in the game you might want to try to get some rhythm. And now that these defensive linemen are seeing how deep the quarterback is, they might need to be getting off their horses a little faster to try to get a sack. So that I'm not going to concern myself with quite yet.
So 1st and 5 now. Purvis again throws it down, wobbles around, and incomplete. Trying to go for the long ball that time to their leading receiver as well, in Cliff Jerry Karanosh.
Yeah, the replay shows the quarterback just takes a snap and turns, and he's trying to run a go route to the outside. Did not have enough arm speed to actually deliver a solid spiral. And once you don't have that good tight spiral, the wind's going to spin that thing around sideways. That was woefully short and drove all the way to the inside. Very, very better chance of it getting intercepted before completed when it's that poorly thrown.
Carnell, I should say on that, by the way. Regardless, 2nd and 5 at the 54-yard line. Trying to break through for the first time today across midfield. Purvis again, quick throw, bobbled around. And we'll see here as this one sees a player down.
Yeah, we got a first down out of that, but that's something I know the coaches do not want to see. That is number 11 who's down for the home team, and that's Kenley Williams. That's a DB, and I know I spoke with Coach Norton early. They only have 6 DBs dressed in this game here. They have at least 3 or 4 that are sidelined with injury, and that is a growing concern as the season's going to go on. But he was holding his lower leg right away, and you'll see here on the replay, run a quick little slant, and right on the tackle, it looks like as he was making the tackle, his foot got stuck and the defender fell right on it. That might very well be a broken ankle. The way it looked like it sort of twisted, that's unfortunate that we rolled an ankle like that.
Kenley Williams entered today's game, one of the top players interception-wise in the OFC. 3 interceptions, 12 tackles in the campaign. And the stadium has gone silent here with 7:54 to go in the first quarter.
Yeah, and the way it looks like they're sort of bracing, at least from our vantage point here in the booth, Justin, they're not allowing that lower leg to move. That tells me that there is some semblance of severity to it, so they do not want to run the risk of any, if it's not broken, if it's anything else like that, they just want to be able to brace it properly so that way, if they have to go to the hospital, they can get them there right away.
We'll take a quick break. Be right back.
My name is Nicole Pekala. Before I was in the welding program, I was a pet nutritionist at a pet shop for about 3 years. You'll be surprised how great it is to be a woman in the trades because it's such a welcoming community. Every woman that I've met that's in the trades program or has studied within the trades is just so happy to be in it. And why wouldn't you want to be a part of something that everybody else is enjoying and loving themselves?
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is, put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
Of a game delay for an injury on the field. Kenley Williams. 7:54 to go in the first quarter here on We Digital. And a tough way for the middle portions of the first quarter to come into play here. 10-0 again the score for St. Clair over GTA. Again, we're in the midst of a game delay for the time being. As we get information, we will let you know the situation. You're watching We Digital here from Acumen Stadium, the St. Clair Sports Park in Windsor, Ontario.
My name is Nicole Pekala. Before I was in the welding program, I was a pet nutritionist at a pet shop for about 3 years. You'll be surprised how great it is to be a woman in the trades because it's such a welcoming community. Every woman that I've met that's in the trades program or has studied within the trades is just so happy to be in it. And why wouldn't you want to be a part of something that everybody else is enjoying and loving themselves?
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
So it's nice to see everything working as it should be, and hopefully for this young man, as they start to cart away, hopefully it is nothing that is too severe.
Yeah. Again, to reiterate, a touching surrounding from the various players from the GTA Grizzlies and the St.Clair Fratmen surrounding the cart. Now bringing Kenley Williams off the field here at Acumen Stadium with 7:54 to go in the first quarter.
And there you see it right now. He's going by the visiting sideline because that's where the gate is. It's going to get him off the field. And you see all the players there. They're just coming by and they're just giving him some well wishes, which is obviously a tremendous sign of respect for the game and for the players on the field.
So off goes Williams. And all the players are getting ready to get action back underway for what is the final game of the regular season for GTA, the second to last game for the St.Clair Fratmen. They're without one of the top interception leaders this season, with Williams amongst the top 5, and amongst those breaking away from the pack of 2 or less. So we're ready to get back underway. GTA has a 1st and 10 after the reception, and now they look to get back into a rhythm. 2 receivers sent in the motion, ready to pass Purvis. Throwing directly to an interception. Enzik Yuyute off to the races. To the 20, 10-5 touchdown Fratmen.
Well, not that you take solace in any kind of injury, Justin, but one of his actual brothers on the field, his position group, picks it off and takes it for a house call, and a late throw to the flat, just didn't really have much zip on it, and you do see now the entire escort from the Fratmen team, and they know they were going to walk this one in. Very little consolation. The injury obviously trumps everything, Justin. But the Fratmen do extend their lead here as they're going to try to execute the extra point to make it 17-0.
When it comes to these conversions, just one miss this season from Jake Holloway. This one up and through 17-0 with 7:22 to go in the first quarter. So things are clicking to start things off, to say the very least, in this one, especially when it comes to the season in general. 6-0, the only undefeated team left in the OFC this campaign. Right now, again, with a win today, they clinch first place. London and Hamilton are currently second and third. Quinte has finished their season, keep in mind, 2-6. They are already locked in to a quarterfinal matchup with potentially St.Clair if St. Clair holds on at the end of this one.
Hamilton still has a chance to get a home playoff game. If Hamilton is able to somehow beat London today,
yes,
and give them a third loss, even with a loss next week, I have to look a little bit closer into some of the tie-break scenarios. But what you are looking at moving forward into our semifinal in a couple weeks is Quinte is going to make their way here. Justin, as you said, they're locked into the 4th spot. A win today guarantees the Fratmen are the 1. And then Hamilton will have to play a rematch of this week's game, Hamilton-London. And we just don't know whether it's going to be Hamilton at London or London at Hamilton for the other OFC semifinal.
Home field advantage can be a big thing as this is kicked off and away. So far, aiming towards Costa. Costa tries to juke right, gets stiff arm down at about the 25.
Yeah, and you know what? Good job. He caught the ball in the air. He comes to just downhill running, and he did get a little bit of an edge, so he's able to get across to the 25-yard line, which is exactly what you want to see. And then a nice open field tackle by Jackson Roundtree. So all in all, good on both sides. Decent coverage, good kick, good return. It's what you want to see in a special teams play. Just the basics being executed. No penalties, nothing crazy. Now you get GTA, who's been on the field actually quite a bit on their offense. I think this is their 3rd possession already.
Yep.
And it looks like GTA has to call a timeout. They don't have the right play call in. The play clock was running out.
They're down to 3 on the play clock already. That's how quickly they were trying to sort things on out. And already, you can see part of that, too, is getting a slot back onto the field. So both teams are taking the chance to get a breather here after the first timeout used with 6:57 to go in the first quarter.
Yeah, now I know Coach Morency, you see him there. He's talking to the defense like, I have a hard time believing you're going to see anything other than very basic coverages and very basic alignments from the Fratmen. There is no reason to show, as we see our fans here in the stands, you're not going to show anything exotic right now. You do not need to show your hand to any opponent this week, next week, or the following week who might be seeing this game. So you're going to try to keep it as plain as possible so that way your practicing during the week isn't shown fully in this. And again, not to slight the Grizzlies, this isn't an unfair matchup right now with the number of players they have, and it's their last game of the year, and they just haven't had much success this year. So you do not have to give up anything early.
So 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line, already down to 4 on the play clock. Rolling down to 2 to 1, getting the snap off. Purvis again throws, this time through some traffic, held on for the completion, this time from Antonio Chambers.
Yeah, into a little bit of traffic, and he's sort of predetermined who he wants to throw to, but at least he's getting it out on time. He doesn't have the tremendous amount of zip that we're used to seeing maybe from the Beals. However, he's getting it out on time, and as soon as he gets it out on time, you give your receiver a chance, and the receivers have made some. There was a flag, but they're picking it up as there is no flag on the play. I'm assuming they might have thought there was an ineligible number, but somebody might have reported to a proper position. So we are now all set.
So we'll see how things now go for 1st and 10. 25 still is the mark. Or check that 30-yard line. 2nd and 5. Throwing it this time, Purvis. Wide open, man, complete. Down the field, Carano, the leading receiver for the team, was one of his biggest plays yet. He had 100 yards coming into today. 88 were on one reception. He just made his 5th catch of the season.
Yeah, and this one here, this just must have been a straight blown coverage. I have a hard time believing. The Fratmen brought some pressure there. That should have been straight man. And the DB just let the number 1 receiver on his outside just run right by him. I don't think there should have been safety help, at least not that wide. They were not in a cover 2. They looked like there was maybe middle safety, but that has to be on the corner.
Keep in mind when it comes to Carano, he was actually the Special Teams Player of the Week as a result of his return skills with 10 returns in the last game for GTA against Hamilton. Again, looking to pass 1st and 10, this time towards the flat. India trying to kick on ahead and able to just get around the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and that was destined to fail, but good effort from the running back there of making his way back to a positive gain. You'll see here, this ball was thrown clearly 7-8 yards behind the initial line of scrimmage, and he fights through 2 tackles and works his way across the initial line of scrimmage to pick up 1. So it turns absolutely nothing, a loss, into a short gain.
So 2nd and 9 now coming up at the 42-yard line. The furthest GTA has gone so far this matchup, approaching 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Once again, setting things up with the quarterback way deep. 2 backs come into block. Quick throw, Purvis out of it. A lot of pressure down the field. And incomplete. Looked like it was intended that time for Costa.
Yeah, a lot of duress. Quarterback didn't really have a chance to step into it. He was hoping for his receiver to take some time. Looked left to try to hold the safety, but he just wasn't able to throw into it all that much as there was a rush right to his feet. And again, this wind is playing havoc. That ball just got fluttered and knocked down. Nowhere near any intended receivers. I know you mentioned Costa, but he was clear 7-8 yards.
Yeah, he was the closest one by far.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to bring out their punt unit. And good, this is what you have to do. You win a series. Winning a series doesn't always mean score. You started at your own 25. Can you pin the opponent inside their own 10?
See how this punt goes. It looks like this time, well, the player setting up to back up to punt this time instead is Carano. So instead of a linebacker, it's Carano who elects to run it out to the right for this punt. A decent boom inside the 15-yard line. Fratmen trying to get some space. Lewis off to the races. Lewis, the only player this season to return a punt for a touchdown on a second. Lewis to the end zone, touchdown. His 2nd punt return touchdown of the season. He is the only player this season to do so during punts.
Yeah, I like the concept. You don't have your full punting unit there. You try a little rugby-style punt to give your coverage unit time to get down the field. Unfortunately for the Grizzlies, they do have some linemen on the field in this coverage unit. You see numbers in the 50s. Those are bigger bodies. They're not usually your speedsters getting down the field, and Dante Lewis just found a seam up that left sideline and exploited it all the way down. And now the pile-on is already starting at 23 with the ensuing extra point here with 4 minutes still left in this opening quarter.
The crazy thing about that, too, he had enough time to high-five Ute up the field.
Yeah, they're having a little bit of fun on Halloween.
24-0 as we take a look at the power rankings. As mentioned, 3 undefeated teams are left in the CGFL. The Fratmen are amongst them. A very strong postseason coming up for some of these teams.
Yeah, and you have 3 OFC teams in there. The Fratmen at 2, the Beef at 6, and the Hurricanes at 8. So the Fratmen still have to see a couple of those teams. They have Hamilton next week, and they're likely going to see Hamilton or London in the final. And I don't want to be premature and say the Fratmen are going to just beat Quinny, but there's a good chance they're on their way towards that.
And we'll see how things fare out throughout the rest of the way. Keep in mind the Thunder won in the power ranking standings. So again, 24-0 the score with about 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. And it's gone into where the quarterback is now firing the T-shirt gun. Yes, that is Beal that is firing T-shirts into the stands here on Halloween Day.
Yeah, and you know what? Making it a game day experience is always something that you want to have. You want the fans to be engaged, the younger fans to be engaged as well. It's nice that the college is putting together that experience for them, and it's nice that the Fratmen have a home now that looks like it's pretty secure for the future.
The first 100 children 12 and under today were actually given free goodie bags as a result of Halloween. There was also supposed to be a costume parade at halftime as well here at Acumen Stadium.
Yeah, you know, these young kids like to dress up and they enjoy the full embodied experience of Halloween. And we do have a nice weather day for them today. No rain in the forecast, so the kids get to go out trick-or-treating without necessarily getting wet today.
Off and away goes the kickoff. This time, return from inside the 5. Trying to find a little bit of space. Victor Pachinen into the traffic. Brought down around near the 30.
Yeah, and you know what? Again, another good return if you're the Grizzlies. Now, if I'm going to be critical of something, if I'm the Fratmen, I would like to see those kicks stay out to a hash or outside a hash. Never really like a middle-type return where the ball is kicked to the middle. Now, the wind might have contributed to that, Justin, but very good teams, if you kick it to the middle and you give them a genuine 2 or 3-way go, because I say 3 because you could do a reverse off of that as well. You give them that middle, left, or right return, they can make you pay. So you might want to work on that as you progress into the playoffs.
So 1st and 10, ball spotted at the 29-yard line. Once again, Purvis, quick throw, this time bounced around, incomplete. Ryan Boyd, the intended receiver.
Yeah, and you know what? If Boyd would have been able to just get a mid on that and haul it in, would have been a really impressive one-handed catch. He might have been able to turn it up his own sideline there for some added yards. But it looks like we have a flag on the play.
Yes,
I'd venture a guess it was offside by the Fratmen because it looked like there was a potential blitz that just came real quick, but we'll see the call.
Offside.
I've been wrong once already.
GTA number 17. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Yeah, we have offside.
Back 5.
We're going to move them back and replay the down here.
Keep in mind the penalty flags for today are pink for today's action. Here's a look at the fans. Keep in mind, you see the streamers along some of the railings and some of the balloons. There is a student section set up as well for today's matchup, and they wanted to make things very colorful for that student section today here at Acumen Stadium. So it's now make it 1st and 15 rather, at the 24-yard line. Purvis looking to throw again, this time short, complete. Able to find Pachinen. Able to get to just shy of the 20-yard line for a pickup, or rather a loss of a couple.
Yeah, they've tried that swing a few times, and Nick Brakovich made the nice sure-handed tackle as he worked his way to the outside there. Other than that one where there was a missed tackle and some poor tackling where he picked up a yard, those little flare swings to the running backs are just destined to fail. They just don't have enough speed at that position to gain any leverage. So you're going to probably have to come out of that, maybe get those linebackers a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage and leak them up and then out rather than just flaring 6-7 yards deep.
So make it 2nd and 16 now or so. We're approaching 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Once again, Purvis looking to throw. This time complete. Brought down for a pickup of a few. Costa with the reception once more.
Yeah, and I believe that's 44, Braden McDougall, who made the tackle. He's been just a tackling machine this year. He might be the team leader in tackles this year. He's had a good season. Just sat there and watched the play progress, and as that little drag came across, sure-handed tackle, doesn't need to do anything stupid and try to jump it. And now, obviously, they're in a 3rd and long and have to punt.
He was tied with 13 tackles entering today with Jordan Krug. We'll see how things fare out by the end of the day. So 3rd down, and again, back to punt. This time, they switch it back to Liam MacArthur for the punt duties. Returners back this time are Cooper and Lewis again. Taking a few steps for this punt. Now a solid one. This one bounces, though, around the 50. Picked up around the 53, brought down around the 47-yard line or so, and the return by Cooper.
Yeah, good coverage there. They made the little bouncing ball, and you'll see here on the return, like most teams really like if the ball does get outside the numbers and then just sort of starts bouncing around because your coverage gets there. So now it turns outside towards the sideline, minimizes the field of return, so that way you can get your coverage unit there. So decent job by the visitor Grizzlies.
So Beal goes from firing the T-shirt cannon to looking to fire some passes. This time, though, hands it off to start off the drive to Savoni. Savoni knocks over a Grizzly. Inside the 10, touchdown. Savoni, his 13th of the season.
Yeah, that is a man run among boys. This is straight ISO. You put a fullback on the field, fullback leads up on first spot linebacker, and once you get through that linebacker level, he just now has to beat a safety, and he indeed does stiff arm the safety like a Derrick Henry type move, and he keeps his feet powering until he finds the end zone. That is a man run. That is 100% just a outclassed of a talent, and sometimes you just can't do anything about it.
So the extra point looks to extend this to 31-0. Under 2 minutes to play now in the first quarter. Beal with the holder, Hallway, the kick through, and make 31-0. So a strong day so far for the Fratmen. Keep in mind, the next time the Fratmen take the field is to close out the regular season against Hamilton, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, November the 6th. Be sure to tune in here on We Digital. That's going to be an intriguing one to keep an eye on, keep in mind. The last game for the Fratmen, keep in mind, they beat Hamilton 47-7.
Yeah, and like I said when we showed the standings, Hamilton might have something more to play for. With this win here, like you said, Justin, the Fratmen lock up the number one, and we see some fans here who have some sweaters and some old school. Those are new school shirts there. You see the yellows, you see some of the blacks, you see some of the greens. So you see some of the history of the Fratmen program mixed in with the St.Clair program, and now you see some Halloween, and these are the kids, and it really is about the enjoyment of the fans, and we're putting together hopefully a nice little victory for them.
Everyone getting into the support of Halloween in the grandstands here at Acumen Stadium. Hallway ready to kick things back off, and there has been an adjustment made, just noticed. They have swapped the sides for Carano along with Costa. Carano now with his first return of the day. As a result, a flag is down. The tackler is around the 26, and now some players are rushing in.
Yeah, the one flag came out real early, which tells me it was a hold. The second flag I didn't miss. I was preoccupied with the top side of that, but we do see an injured player down for the visitors, and that's number 7. That was the return man, right, Justin?
Yeah, and the special teams player of the week, mind you, for last week.
So as they do that, I'm sure the referees will now sort out what they believe is the...
We have multiple fouls on the play. We have a
Here comes the call.
unnecessary roughness, illegal block against GTA.
Unnecessary roughness.
And what was the second one?
The back against the Grizzly.
What's the
And they're just getting confirmation as to what the second call is.
17? And an illegal block.
And we have a
So
block.
take us to 1 yard line, first down.
All right, so they'll take the one. The unnecessary roughness will be the bigger of the two, so they'll probably move it back 15 yards, and you'll see here on the replay, not sure if we'll be able to pick up the blocks, but you will see possibly the injury. So you see the return man. Starts off slow, tries to gather, and then picks a hole right up the middle, and as he gets there, he's met by 2 Fratmen players, and it looked like he was just tackled low, and he is nursing what looks like a lower leg injury and ankle injury, so he might have just turned his ankle in the bottom of that pile. Fortunately, it doesn't look like the severity of the earlier ankle injury, Justin, as the player himself does not seem to be writhing in pain.
So the training staff currently checking things out right now, and you can see it's being signaled towards the sideline. Some of the players are already preparing for the next snap, which, keep in mind, with all the penalties, the snap would be inside the 1 yard line.
Yeah, and that's the reason why you accept the major foul. The major foul, all 15 yards of it is walked off. So if you can only go back 14, you'll go back the full 14, unlike our counterparts in the United States, who it's half the distance to the goal. This one does go the full much, and you can tell here he is favoring his right leg, and that's unfortunate because you're looking at a player of the week from last week, and without putting any weight, and you're already shorthanded as it is, so young man's probably playing all 3 facets of the game, offense, defense, and special, so now you got to find a 3-person replacement.
So your the leading receiver for the Grizzlies, the player of the week for special teams, who had 118 yards from kick returns and 48 from punts, now is to the sideline for GTA. We'll see what the game plan comes to be here, with it being snapped inside their own 1 yard line. A minute 34 to go in the first quarter. Purvis set things up with two backs to his sides. That is Ryan and Amadia. This time he elects to throw it, tries to throw it to the sack, dropped around, St. Clair picks it up, and it's a touchdown.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sack, fumble, and you find yourself number 52, and that is Josh Allen. The ball bounced right into his lap here as the pressure, and we'll see in the replay. The young man got hit. He was about to deliver a pass, and you'll see him get hit right at the point of contact, right on his elbow, and no question about it. That ball was out, and it looked like that was 44 Brandon McDougall, who forced that fumble, and now that turns into more points. So the defense is into it again. Not only do they have an interception return for a touchdown, they have a fumble return, sack fumble for a touchdown. The special teams has found the end zone, and the offense has found the end zone. You've had some big plays across the board, Justin, and again, we're still in the first quarter, and we're looking at, what's that, 38-0 already?
Yes, indeed. Josh Allen, by the way, with the TD. Here's the GTA schedule, and 53 points for, 286 points against. Keep in mind that points against is not the biggest total this season, but you can see the roughness with some of the games.
Yeah, and of course, the upstart Quinty, who is their first year in the league, they had their most competitive games against those teams. They did play London earlier in the year pretty well, and when they were playing against Hamilton last week, it's my understanding the game was a lot closer through the first half,
yep,
as the final score indicated. However, it's tough to stay motivated throughout an entire season when the injuries pile up. You get into this last game of the year, and quite frankly, you're going up against Goliath. So it's hard to find that extra motivation. And I'll give the players that showed up today some credit. I do not see any quit in them. They're trying. Unfortunately, it's just you're trying against a team that is just that much better.
So still more than a minute to go in the first quarter. Here on We Digital, 38-0 for the Fratmen. They look to kick things off. The change in return men now sees Paginen back in the place of the down Grizzly from before. Meanwhile, his counterpart in Costa able to get it to about the 30-yard line or so this time.
Yeah, another good return, catch it in the air, worked his way across. So that part of their special teams has been pretty good. He calls it right away, no confusion. He goes and attacks it, catches it in the air, gets some momentum going forward, puts his foot in the ground and works up that right seam. And he picks up, about 17, 18 yards on his return from the point of catch. So now they have half-decent starting field position. Let's just see if they can get a couple first downs to give their offense some rhythm. And quite frankly, I know this for Coach LaChance. He wants to see his offense on the field. They have things they want to work on. So not that you'll not take a turnover, but maybe not take one to the house.
So now things are getting set on up once more for Purvis and company. They came into today with a -9 turnover differential. Meanwhile, a stiff arm by the running back. They pick up about 3 or 4 on the catch and run.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a battery ram there as he throws the little flare out to him. And you get the running back who just lowers his shoulder and just runs over a body, and then the momentum takes him forward for a 4-yard gain. The only problem is the quarterback and the running backs are set so deep, they got to run 6 yards just to get back to the line of scrimmage before they get anything positive. So that makes it a little harder to make it short, a second and short, as it turns out it's only a 3-yard gain.
So 2nd and 7 is the official mark. Ball spotted at the 35-yard line. Once again, they set up now exactly 10 yards back for Purvis. Purvis looks to throw. All while a buzzer goes off and the ball is dropped. That was the indicator for the end of the first quarter. And that ends off 15 minutes of play. 38-0 St. Clair over GTA here on We Digital. We'll be back with more after this from Acumen Stadium, the main campus of St. Clair College in Windsor, Ontario.
My name is Nicole Pekala. Before I was in the welding program, I was a pet nutritionist at a pet shop for about 3 years. You'll be surprised how great it is to be a woman in the trades because it's such a welcoming community. Every woman that I've met that's in the trades program or has studied within the trades is just so happy to be in it. And why wouldn't you want to be a part of something that everybody else is enjoying and loving themselves?
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is, put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretcher
of OFC football, where the Fratmen are up 38-0 over GTA. The Grizzlies punting it away to start the second quarter on third down. Return from about the 45, knocked down just inside GTA territory. This time it was Tristan Rutherford with the return as we get ready for another drive. Justin Prince Padiquas with you, and it's been all Fratmen all first quarter.
Yeah, and that trend is going to continue to happen for the game. I would suspect that this might be maybe one or two series away from seeing a clear change of number ones into the number twos with the game already well in control.
Looking to pass this time. Beal with a lot of time throws a straight interception. Picked off by Bowenhaus, trying to take it upfield, brought down around the 50-yard line. That is GTA's 5th interception recorded of the season.
Yeah, and that there is not what Coach LaChance wanted to see. Michael didn't come off any sort of receiver. He looked right the entire time, and it allowed the safety to sort of watch the ball, and the ball did not have that same zip we normally see from him. And as much as Michael did not want to throw the pick, and as much as Michael wanted to make the tackle on that, you got to be smart. You don't need your quarterback breaking a finger, a hand, or something, making a tackle on an interception. You're up 38-0. It's like the odds of them coming back is very, very slim. So can't afford an injury to a critical player as they try to start a long playoff run. And this is part of it. The final games are part of that run.
That was the 4th interception by Beal of the season. 1st and 10 incomplete. Intended once again for Costa.
Oh, yeah, and Braden McDougall there, he's saying he's tapping his head on that there, and we see him right there. He's saying to himself, I should have had that. He lost his awareness for a split second. And if he would have been able to get his head around just a fraction quicker, he would have had that interception. He's playing deep in the middle on those passing situations, which, quite frankly, I don't remember the Grizzly handing the ball off yet. So everything's been in the air the entire time. So he's upset with himself that he didn't react to that pass a little more quickly.
Keep in mind, their top running back, who had 30 carries entering this week, scratched. Their second most yardage received runner, not on the roster sheet. Incomplete on 2nd and 10. That'll make it 3rd down.
Yeah, and you know who batted that away? You'll see on the replay. That's number 30. That's your punter playing deep middle safety. And Holloway's upset at himself that he didn't pick that off. Look at him. Your punter's angry at himself, so he should be. He hit him in the hands, and now he's going to get ridden a little bit by some of his teammates saying, catch the ball. Yeah, and there's a nice little picture of a hat and gloves sitting there by the Gatorade bottle.
I think if you have a DSLR camera at the sideline, you're taking a picture of that. Maybe.
Well, you know what? You got to promote the logo. That's it.
Yeah. So 3rd and 10. Punt units back out once more. There has already been one punt return for today from the Fratmen. This time it will be MacArthur who looks to punt it. MacArthur getting a little more into rhythm. A deep booming punt to Rutherford. Rutherford gets some blockers. Gets caught from behind, brought down at about the 40-yard line.
All right, so now let's see if the Fratmen offense can get a little bit of rhythm. And we'll see the replay on the punt. Good snap. The punter is going to actually take his time and delivers a pretty good darn kick. And the coverage unit wasn't that bad all along. So another little positive for the Grizzly. And I can't emphasize it enough. These young men, there's 21 of them now with that injured player. They are not laying down. They're trying.
And that's what you expect from a team for a full season. And now, 1st and 10, ball officially spotted at the 41. The Fratmen take their time, because Rutherford took a fair bit of time to get to the side, and now they've taken the timeout instead.
Yeah, they just don't have all the personnel on the field,
Yeah.
so they're trying to make some substitutions and get some other people on the field.
I think the confusion was from Rutherford, who was walking off the field, and then they called the time.
And here's your Fratmen schedule.
So far, the Fratmen, as mentioned, perfect record so far. And they have had some close games, keep in mind. London, in particular, the first matchup at home. They ended up following up with a 51-28 victory to them. 2 games left in the season.
I will say this, Justin. There's one noticeable thing wrong with that whole picture, and that's because there has not been a shutout yet. And I know this defense wants nothing more than to keep that score 0 for the visitors.
318 points for, 74 against. Things quickly thrown along towards midfield. That is enough for a first down or so.
Yeah, not a great pass. Maybe a little behind him. Good on Dante Lewis to corral this in because he had to reach back for it. And as he reaches back for it, he's able to get it. That just as easily could have been intercepted. So nice catch. The receiver doing his quarterback a favor there by hauling that wide throw in.
So 1st and 10, now set up just around midfield. 3 receivers set in the motion. Once again, now handed off Savoni. Savoni shedding off a couple tacklers. Trying to cut ahead, brought down inside the 40-yard line. Another strong run for Savoni, approaching 100 carries on the season.
Well, that's still one of my favorite plays in all the sports. A little counter tray. You bring 2 offensive linemen, 1 kicks and 1 pulls, and the running back just follows his big escort up the field. And Savoni picks up chunk yardages and, about 25, 30 more yards. Mm-hmm. He's got to be close to 100 yards already right now. Yeah. He's only touched the ball maybe 4 or 5 times, if that.
And that would put him above 700 yards already on the season. The next carry brings him to 100 plus, if not 101. Beal, meanwhile, looking to throw for 1st and 10. Jumping up that time, Jared Hayes-Williams.
Now that's a better throw, Justin, and that's a fantastic catch. That's a perfect hands catch. You get Williams going up and he squeezes it. So you'll see here, Beal's going to turn and he's going to get his weight into it and he fires a laser. And you see Hayes-Williams, he gets his hands out away from his body, squeezes, and that is how you execute that square in.
That was Antonio Chambers on the coverage, by the way, who is also playing receiver today with the shortened roster from GTA's side. So in the red zone now, St.Clair is one of the first times for them today with some of the big plays. Beal looking to throw, end zone, through double coverage, incomplete.
Almost intercepted again by that very same player, number 34, who is Scott Bauhaus. And this young man, he breaks it and breaks on it from his safety position. What I think needs to happen on that one is the receiver needed to skinny that route up and get more vertical. Instead, he squared it off, so there's a little miscommunication between the receiver and the quarterback. Should have been a skinnier post. He ran it more fat, and the safety was able to make a play. That ball should have been thrown to the back where the referee is.
Approaching halfway through the second quarter here on Weed Digital, 38-0 for the Fratmen over the GTA Grizzlies. Thrown towards the end zone, incomplete on 2nd down.
Yeah, and again, miscommunication as to what happens. That one, Jared Hayes-Williams ran it to the end zone, and it looks like the Beal was throwing that to the sticks to get a first down. Just trying to do a little back shoulder throw, and one ran the route all the way to the end zone, and the other one was looking like he was supposed to come back. The quarterback threw it just short to get the first down yardage, so little miscommunication as the field goal unit comes back out.
And Hallway's already made one today. This one is looking to be about 22, 23 yards this time, to try and extend the lead to 41-0. Keep in mind, the wind not as strong as it was on the last attempt. It is still gusting a little bit towards the left of the upright. Kick is up, and the signal is good. 41-0, St.Clair. This continues the strong day for the Fratmen, for their action.
Yeah, I would assume that you'll see, and there's our scoreboard there, and you see all the decor, and now you see some of the fans as the announcers calling for all the costumed young persons to get down to field level to possibly do a little parade of them. And everyone's excited to see football in the community here, and it's nice that the Acumen Stadium provides such a perfect viewing situation, and like I suspected, GTA has selected to scrimmage at the 35 after the made field goal.
See what they're able to do now as the sun is starting to poke out from a bit of the cloud cover that had been hanging over Acumen Stadium for a good 30 minutes or so. Leading the troops once again, Alex Purvis. 1st and 10 at the 35-yard line. Fratmen have 6 in the box defensively. Two receivers back in the motion now for GTA. Looking to throw, a lot of pressure off to the screen, bobbled around, complete. Knocked down for a loss of 5 once more. A lot of pressure that time, brought on by Krug and company.
Yeah, and that's just the same thing. They're trying to get it out, but like you do to complete this pass, you're 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. You don't have the personnel to make up that ground, and now you put yourself on a completed pass. 2nd down and 18 yards? You lost 8 on that. I much preferred if they tried the verticals and the drags and the crossing routes over that flare out. Even if it gets intercepted, at least you're trying to move forward. That's destined to fail almost every single time. Your personnel just isn't fast enough to execute that.
So with about 5 minutes to go, approaching in the second quarter, 2nd and 18 at the 27 now for GTA. 2 back in the motion this time. Right back flares out again, this time going up the middle, broken up, incomplete. This time, coverage from Jake Holloway.
Yeah, and you know what? That was good timing, and that, to me, is the kind of better play I want to see. You'll see on the replay, the quarterback is looking for that crossing route, and the ball bang, bang. Good play from your punter/safety, and good attempt by the quarterback-receiver combination. Unfortunately for the Grizzlies, it just fell incomplete on the pass breakup. But now you can get your special teams unit out again and see if you can move the Fratmen back onto their own side of the field with this ensuing punt.
So again, punting from what would be around their 20-yard line is GTA. As we're quickly approaching the 3-minute warning for the first half. Just about setting things up as GTA. They have 12 on the play clock still to work with. Tournament set up around the Fratmen 50. Another solid punt. Picked up around midfield this time. Cutting around is Cooper. Cooper tackled down at around the 47, 48-yard line.
And again, a decent enough kick. I love the fact that Marcus Cooper caught the ball in the air. And he was trying to work a wide side return here. And I think if he would have just been a little bit more patient and tried to sprint it out just a little bit longer, he might have very well been able to find the sideline. Nonetheless, very good return.
Don't forget, coming up at halftime, it's the halftime report with Don Papa here on We Digital. Be sure to tune in for that halftime report to keep up with some of the various storylines and more. 1st and 10 to the 47-yard line for St.Clair. Beal again looking to throw, this time complete to Cody Holmes. Holmes down the sideline, knocked out of bounds. But good enough for a first down yet again for the team's leading receiver coming in reception-wise.
Yeah, and Cody's been quite quiet today. And here finally he gets the ball in his mitts, and he does make one guy sort of miss, and he works his way up the sideline, picks up 7 more yards after the initial contact point. Hayes Williams has had a few catches. Dante Lewis has had a few catches now, and they're going to get Holmes in the equation right now.
Holmes entered today 24 catches, 560 yards, 8 touchdowns, with a line of 81. We're now within the 3-minute warning here in this first half as well. 2 in the motion. Beal looking to throw from under center. Complete again. This time caught from Dante Lewis. Lewis weaving forward, brought down inside the 10 for 1st and goal.
Yeah, touchdown saving tackle by 23 for the visitors. That young man was able to trip up, and that is Jamal Vassell.
Yep.
And he was able to trip up Dante Lewis. You'll see here on the outside, he had a little bit of a blocking alley, but number 23 comes off his block and just trips him up there, and he knocks him to the ground. And that's going to put it in an and-goal situation at the 9-yard line for the home team.
Vassell came into today with 18 tackles, 1 interception, by the way, for GTA. 1st and goal at the 9-yard line. 3 in the motion this time. Beal, quick throw, end zone, jump play. Hayes Williams caught, touchdown. Fratmen
Yes, and that was maybe in the words of Sunday night countdown, Monday night countdown, you got mossed. Jared Hayes just jumped over. And I believe the game day announcer saying that is a new Fratmen record with the 22nd touchdown pass. I thought that's what I just heard.
Yes, indeed. It's his 22nd.
And that is a tremendous effort. And maybe we'll see here on the replay. This was just Beal throwing it up to his guy. And here you have it. He knows where he's going, right to
number
the
15,
outside.
St.Clair.
And he throws it up to a spot where his guy goes and high points it. Defender doesn't turn his head around. And there you have it. Another touchdown for Beal, who's having a record-setting year.
So Beal, 22 touchdowns now on the season with that pass. So now, Beal setting that mark with under 2 minutes to play in the second quarter.
And one more game left.
It's been that type of a year with how efficient he's been passing-wise.
Which is why he was so angry at himself throwing that interception earlier. Because that interception was squarely on him, and he knows that. He's that kind of competitor. He knows it was his fault.
So after that one, 48-0 now the score for the Fratmen over GTA. And we talked a little bit about today with things to learn from and whatnot. What do you feel could be picked up here, knowing there could be the potential of a lot that could happen after halftime with such the score being the way it is?
Well, what I think the Fratmen are going to have to do is to preserve the health. Anyone who is banged up right now, anyone who is nursing some sort of injury but played today has to now sit the second half. But you can't stop trying to run and execute your stuff, because at some point in time there might be a critical injury, knowing full well that you might need a backup to step up and make those very plays against a good football team as you get into your playoffs. So you have to coach the same way. You have to execute the same way, as we see these little kids enjoying some nachos and some costumes, and they're having a lot of fun right there. Good on the kids with the face paint and all the costumes, and yes, and some Fratmen gear on as they try to keep warm.
Kicked off and away. The interesting thing is those with the costumes did not pick them up for the costume parade. This ball looks to make a parade on its own to the corner. GTA trying to return it out of their own end zone, and they're brought down to the end zone.
Yeah, that was an unlucky bounce. The ball wasn't actually kicked all that great, but it did have a side spin on it, and it started turning, and it obviously spun in the favor of the Fratmen, and next thing you know, it's finding itself all the way back 15, 16 yards deep, and he just as easily could have taken a knee, but once he got to lose, he's trying to make something out of nothing. Bottom line is, whether he takes a knee or gets tackled, it's a single point, added on, 49-0. They'll get the ball at the 35 either way.
So Rutherford with the tackle. The Rouge now up on the board. 49-0 Fratmen with 1:45 to go in the second quarter. And you look at the sideline with some of the conversations, a lot of smiles from St. Clair's roster, as the ball is now placed once more at the 35 after the Rouge. GTA looking to break through.
Oh, GTA has one goal, break the shutout. That is their goal for the remaining of the effort. Don't let the Fratmen have that one thing they haven't had yet this year, that coveted shutout. So if you can get to that point, you've done something positive.
Incomplete for 1st and 10 to Chambers, by the way. Let's take a look at this one from Purvis.
Yeah, and it was a low throw, but that's a protective throw. That's one of those ones where you want it to be down and away, and unfortunately it was just fractionally behind his receiver, so that's why it probably caused the incompletion. But that's a protective throw. It doesn't hang out your receiver over the middle.
So things are getting set up for 2nd and 10, still at the 35-yard line. One of the motion this time. Purvis. Throw to the sideline. And a Fratmen player along the sideline gets it off the bounce. Incomplete regardless. 3rd and 10.
Yeah, and I do believe he double-clutched that on purpose there, because he's like, I better not throw this one, because if I do, it's actually going to get intercepted. So he might have been better off that falling incomplete, even though it slipped out on that little double clutch.
Billy Patterson was the one within range, the 6'3", 190-pound DB, by the way. As now they set up for another punt away.
Now, my guess is the play clock hasn't wound in, so this couldn't end up being the last play. They might not even have to punt it. They could take a knee once it gets to double zeros.
We'll see if that's what they elect to do here. It's reached triple zeros. There goes the buzzer for the half. There goes the punt. So they elect to punt it away. Bouncing it around, Cooper. Cooper tries to weave. Cooper tries to bobble. Cooper gets brought down, and that ends off the first half of play. After 30 minutes of action, the Fratmen are up 49-0 over GTA. Halftime report with Don Papa is coming up. You're watching We Digital from Acumen Stadium in Windsor, Ontario. Stay tuned.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
Welcome back to Acumen Stadium, OFC football here on We Digital Productions. We kick into our halftime report. It's all Fratmen here this afternoon as they lead the GTA Grizzlies by a 49-0 count. We talked about it at the top of the broadcast. We knew this was going to be a little bit of a mismatch. It's turned out to be ugly. But full marks to the Fratmen. They're firing on all cylinders, and we're certainly happy they're leading. We're going to switch sports here for a few minutes because, as you know, we have this beautiful new stadium here at St.Clair on the campus. And, soccer's been played here all season long as well. Both the men and women's soccer teams have played soccer this season here, so they now officially have a home field. And this past weekend, yesterday and the day before, the men's soccer program hosted the OCA Men's Soccer Championships Final Four, and our Saints were part of it. They made it. They came up a little bit short with the medals, but nonetheless an outstanding showing by the men's soccer program. Joining me on the broadcast here to talk a little bit about the season and this whole new stadium, Massimo Pollard of the men's soccer team, and really loved watching this guy play this year. He had an outstanding campaign, and thanks for doing this with us, Massimo. And well, first of all, let's talk about this field, the new stadium, and what it meant to you guys, and how much it really helped.
Yeah, it was nice that this year we had a home field, really, because it was hard for us to get fans out in Amherstburg. So we get a beautiful complex, and we get such a nice crowd that comes out to games, and it really makes a difference. It really does. So it was nice to see our friends get out here and start supporting and not having to drive 40 minutes to Libro.
Yeah, and nothing against Libro. Nice facility there, but this is home now. This is right on the campus. The students can come and watch it. There's, of course, the dorms here. And the crowds were good. I mean, we had really nice crowds for the games. But the field itself, did it become home field for you guys? Did it become a kind of an advantage?
Yeah, it did. We went into games knowing this is our field, and our field is significantly big for a soccer field. So practicing on it all year, going into home games, we felt like we really had an advantage, considering how wide it is and how we played our game. So when we came out here, we thought this is our field. We're gonna do some special things here.
And you guys certainly did a winning record all year. And again, we mentioned the Final Four tournament that just took place this past week. And unfortunately, the one thing that you can't do is control the weather. And it was drizzly and rainy all day, both Saturday and Friday. But nonetheless, everybody's got to play on that same surface. So talk to me about getting to that Final Four, though. I mean, this is something you knew right from the get-go. And it wasn't because you were the host of the tournament that you got in. You had to earn your way in, and I'm sure the guys talked about that.
Yeah, this was actually like one of the first times that the host team didn't automatically qualify. So we made it our goal at the start of the year. We're going to our Final Four, and we're not hosting a tournament without us in it. And if we would have won at Fanshawe and won the division, we would have got our bye. But it actually worked out pretty well. We ended up playing Niagara at home. We won. We went to Durham. We played in the freezing rain in a penalty shootout, and that was very stressful, and we won. But it was a very good journey to the Final Four, and I believe it just kept getting so surreal that it was going to happen. Just fell up short on the medal, but it was really nice being in the tournament that we had to host.
I thought it was actually very important, because when you host a major event like that, and you've got the top teams. You had the top team in Canada here in Humber, who you faced in the tournament in the first game. But the journey to get to that, and you mentioned the Durham game. I want to go to that game specific because that was on the road. I don't think a lot of the soccer people around, not that they didn't give St.Clair a chance, they just said it was going to be real tough for them to get by Durham. And obviously this team made strides throughout the year, Massimo, and grew as a team. Where did you see improvement throughout the year?
Right after our very first game. We went into that Fanshawe game, and we knew whoever won that first game was going to win the division. That was the breakthrough game. Even though it's the first one of the year, everyone knows how important it is. So the second we lost that game 1-0, it was that was the make or break. Right from there, every practice had more intensity. Every player played with more integrity. That game was the difference.
Well, and you mentioned it was the first game, but this was a compact schedule as well. I mean, you didn't have as many games to work with, so every game became that much more important. And then you get into the playoff part of it, and it just gets that much tougher because those other teams are eliminated. Now you're seeing the best of the best. Talk to me about playing in the Final Four. And I mean, again, the team came up short, but what did you think of it overall, and how do you think the team performed?
It's a great experience. I wouldn't trade anything for it to get to play here in front of our home crowd and top 4 teams in Ontario. Can't take that away. But I believe our 2 starts to both games, first 15 minutes it's key. And we went down big both in those first 15 minutes. And what are you going to do, right? It's in the past now. But I think if you change those first 15 minutes, I think either game could go either way.
Yeah, tough starts in both those games, as you mentioned. And again, you're playing against top clubs, not only in the province but in the country. Humber's ranked number 1 in Canada, so and there's a reason why for that. So you get through all of this, though. Again, Final Four tournament. You being a local guy, you're graduated from Holy Names High School, if I remember correctly. I mean, this has to be that much more special for you to be able to do this at home.
Yeah, well, when you have all your friends out here, right? And I've been playing in Windsor for 16 years. So you know a lot of people, and it's nice to see the people that you really care about come out and get to watch you on your home field, on your home turf, and put goals in the back of the net and help your team.
What do you think the future holds for this team in the near future? Anyways, you got this beautiful facility now, and you got a good nucleus coming back. Actually, you got to be pretty excited about all this.
Yeah, we only had 5 returning players. We had 17 rookies this year, so they're young, and the talent that they showed me this year, I have no doubt that they're gonna be back in that Final Four next year.
Good stuff. Well, hey, I have to tell you, this was the first year we got to broadcast St. Soccer, and I was really impressed. I was talking to Coach Barasilevsky yesterday, told him how much I enjoyed this year. I really enjoyed watching you play. You're an exciting player to watch, and wish you nothing but the best in the future, and thanks for making this special this year.
Thank you. Thank you for broadcasting all of our games, and that's not coming from me, that's coming from the whole team. So,
appreciate it. Massimo Pollard, one of the good guys for sure on the Saints men's soccer team, did a great job this season in representing the club and the college, and has a lot to be proud of, that's for sure. A quick timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk to another great figure around the Saints athletic department. Ted Beal will join us. This is OFC Football on the We Digital Productions Network.
My name is Nicole Pekala. Before I was in the welding program, I was a pet nutritionist at a pet shop for about 3 years. You'll be surprised how great it is to be a woman in the trades because it's such a welcoming community. Every woman that I've met that's in the trades program or has studied within the trades is just so happy to be in it. And why wouldn't you want to be a part of something that everybody else is enjoying and loving themselves?
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is, put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
And we continue on here at Acumen Stadium, OFC football here on We Digital Productions. It's all Fratmen here this afternoon as they lead the GTA Grizzlies by a 49-0 count after the first half of play. One of the guys you see running around both stadiums here at Acumen Field and the sports park is this guy right here, athletic coordinator Ted Beal, and he does a great job in putting things together. And he's done it again here today, actually, on Halloween Day. He's got a really nice turnout, and there's kids in their costumes, and it's just a lot of fun. There's a great atmosphere here today, despite the score. And congrats on that, Teddy, and job well done. But how much fun has it been? You've had several weeks to work with your new stadiums, and I think you guys got it down pretty good right now.
We're trying very hard, obviously, and we're very appreciative of the community and obviously the student body for kind of participating in this Halloween afternoon game. We played a lot of Saturday evening games, so this is a great chance for families to get out today. And really fun atmosphere today. I'm enjoying it, and to deliver this kind of product to the campus of the college and obviously the community is something we're very grateful for.
We've had a number of the kids in their costumes on our broadcast today, and they've hammed it up really nice for us, so it's been really good, actually. Let's talk quickly about the Fratmen. Obviously, a very successful campaign. It looks like they're going to 7-0 here. They're going to get into the playoffs with home field advantage. Everything seems to be firing on all cylinders. There's still things to work out, obviously, but all in all, I'd say pretty good first year here at the stadium.
No, I can't complain about the product of the Fratmen itself. The personnel and the coaching staff are doing a great job of really being very competitive and obviously very strong in the OFC. And obviously there's tougher games ahead for sure. But at the same time, they always want to work on the game within the game, obviously, and see how they can improve because we know that there's a tough monster waiting for us in the playoffs, that's for sure.
The playoffs are always that much more intense, and that next level, you have to find that next level of play. Speaking of players and that, obviously one of our Fratmen went down in that first half. He's been taken to hospital. Just any kind of update for our viewers there?
We feel badly for Kenley. Obviously, we're hopeful that he'll have a speedy recovery. At the end of the day, though, he was obviously he was conscious and obviously a suspected lower leg injury that hopefully will heal as quickly as it can for the young man and feel for him. And we obviously reach out to his family and obviously his friends. And, we think he's going to be okay, but obviously it was a scary moment for everybody.
You don't like to see that for sure. And the really good thing again about it, you saw the medical team here right away out there attending to him. Again, nothing held back here. Everything was done top notch. So, job well done that way. With everything that's happened so far between your baseball stadium or your softball, I don't want to say baseball because the girls will come and beat me up for that, but but with the softball stadium and this new stadium, I would imagine there's all kinds of ideas coming out of all of this and where this can go.
No doubt about it. Obviously, we get to experience what the sports park is all about and what its capabilities are, and we're very much in a testing phase. But at the same time, we have daily discussions about let's try this, let's do this. We continue to kind of tweak things and improve things and allow for a greater experience. And I think today is just a great example of that for sure.
Absolutely. A lot of fun here today. It is Halloween Day. Mr. Beal, we appreciate your time as always because it's very valuable, and we certainly appreciate all the work you do, that's for sure.
Thanks so much, Tom. Always a pleasure to have you guys working our games.
Beautiful stuff, Ted Beal. We're going to take a quick time out. The teams are getting ready. We'll have the call of the second half OFC football action on We Digital Productions right after this.
Fratmen are up 49-0 over the GTA Grizzlies. They start off the half by kicking it off to GTA. That bounces out of play for a single in the end zone to start off the half. An interesting first half, let's put it that way. It's now 50-0 as a result of the Rouge. But your thoughts for the second half here?
Yeah, get your backups in, get as many reps as possible, get some good film. Anyone nursing an injury needs to sit on that sideline and make sure they're healthy going in to your season finale next week against Hamilton. and make sure that you execute and coach the way you would if your starters were indeed in.
Alex Purvis is not in at quarterback, it appears here. They're actually trying to communicate with the sideline because that is Ryan Boyd, who just counted how many players were in that huddle. He didn't like what he's seen for this count. It is a rolling clock as well currently. Already 1 minute into the third quarter. They have now finally brought in the last of the players they were looking for, GTA-wise, to start off this half. So again, a rolling clock is underway with the 50-0 advantage.
Yeah, GTA suffered a couple injuries in the first half, and they were already shorthanded, so this is no surprise, obviously, with the score what it is.
Setting things up to pass for the first time, Boyd. He tried to catch a couple. This time it's caught for a quick catch of about 10. This time, Paginen with the reception.
Yeah, that was the first time the Fratmen got caught on that little flare. In this case scenario, linebacker just obviously did not expand out to him. So, he, like you said, he picked up that 10 yards and got the first down.
So, 1st and 10 now at the 45-yard line. Approaching already 2 minutes into the third quarter here on We Digital. Glad to have you with us here on Halloween Day from the Rose City. 4 wide receivers out, one in the motion this time. Boyd looks to pitch it off and dropped around. They say incomplete.
Yeah, it was a forward pass. That's the right call. It was incomplete. He was under some duress. Nothing obviously down the field opened up, so he tried to do the little check down to his running back and that was, even if it was caught, it would have been a loss. You're better off having that as an incomplete pass at that point in time.
So setting things up now with 2nd and 10. GTA still at the 45-yard line. We'll say the atmosphere today is very cheerful with it being Halloween. We've seen some of the costumes in the stands. There was a costume parade throughout halftime here at the stadium. And now, Boyd looks for some bright spots for GTA as this one's picked off. Intercepted once again by the Fratmen. Touchdown, St.Clair. Another pick six. It's Billy Patterson.
Yeah, and that was obviously an ill-advised throw, really late up the sideline, and just you can't hang one out there. No receiver, underthrown, easy pickings. The defense has now scored a 3rd touchdown for the game. But you're into your backup quarterback, backup receivers, backup linemen, backup running backs for GTA. You're probably going to see a little bit more of that. If scores do happen, it's likely going to be because of mistakes of that nature.
Yes, absolutely. 11:58 to go in the third quarter now as a result of that pick six. This extra point could move this to 57-0. Holloway was perfect on converts in the first half as that now makes it 57-0 there. So an intriguing game so far. The last game of the regular season for the Fratmen, as talked about, will be against Hamilton. That'll take place here at Acumen Stadium, November the 6th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch that here on We Digital.
Yeah, unless Hamilton mounts a comeback in London, they're down 24-0 right now, so it looks like they'll be playing a game simply to finish off the regular season, much like the Fratmen, as the playoff position has sort of taken shape. If everything were to end right now, the St.Clair would be 1, London would be 2, Hamilton would be 3, and Quinty will be 4.
Keep in mind, those playoff matchups, 1 through 4, would be about November 13th, currently, the projected day, if things were to hold. Hallway, meanwhile, has the ball being held up by the team, getting things ready to go. Already just inside 3 minutes into the third quarter. Back again once more. Paginen looking to return along with Costa. This time, Paginen picks it up inside the 5. Cuts around the 20. Cuts around to the 25. Knocked down by a couple Fratmen for a solid return.
Yeah, let's just see if the offense can maybe, and we'll see here on the replay. Step 1, catch the ball in the air. Good job. He mounted about a 24-yard return, got it out to the 25. But we'll see if the offense can find any kind of consecutive first down here. 2, 3 first downs. maybe give their defense a little bit of an opportunity to feel some stress. Maybe the Fratmen with some backups in can feel some pressures from a driving offense. But again, tall task with so many people out right now for the Grizzlies.
Was just doing a quick count. There are some backups of the Fratmen. Keep in mind, some. For the linebackers and defensive linemen in particular, some of the starters are still in.
Yeah, and their defensive secondary, Justin. Their starters are, half of them already out. They didn't even dress for this game.
Exactly.
And the injury earlier in the game obviously lost somebody from there too as well. So there's not going to be as many in the defensive secondary for the Fratmen. However, you can roll through some of your D-line and some of your linebackers.
Meanwhile, the pass on the field gets to about the line of scrimmage to make it 2nd and 10. Here's the replay. Another quick short throw.
Yeah, and there's just zero separation on the back end. None of the receivers are able to get any kind of separation. And mind you, some of them might be tired. Some of them are playing both ways. Very rarely do you see players at this level playing both ways. And some of these guys have to play offense, defense, and special teams with the few bodies that they do have. So they might not be able to run by people right now.
Two in the motion, once more for 2nd and 10. Boyd throws it for the jump play, nearly intercepted. Patterson trying to leap at that one. That makes it 3rd and 10.
Yeah, and you can just tell that that's not a quarterback playing every down. A young man is coming in, filling in for the starter, and it was just a little bit of an errant throw. It's bad enough the conditions are hard enough with a good strong-arm quarterback, let alone a backup.
That fan's happy at the very least.
No question. Probably got her candy bag already and now has a little bit of a sugar high as well. Good for her.
By the way, that alien costume we've seen around, I think is a 2-person costume when seeing them run around on the mezzanine.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we've seen a bunch of little costumes, and it's nice to see because the kids are going to be trick-or-treating real soon.
Off and away goes the punt meanwhile. Lewis catches the trick, tries to get a treat, instead brought down to the 35.
Yeah, and again, Dante Lewis had his eyes on another touchdown return. He literally caught it from the left hash and beelined all the way to the right hash here and was able to knife his way through into the Grizzly area, but he just got tripped up at the last second. Nice catch right off the turf. And he just saw something, just diagonal, right to the other hash, and it was literally a one trip up, and it was 23 again. 23 held him up on the last one, and this time, once again, the young man made the trip-up tackle as the sun comes out and warms us up a little bit.
Fairly cool day, as mentioned, here in Windsor at the main campus of St.Clair College. Just approaching 8 minutes to go in the third. The backup quarterback is in, Daniel Mayhew. Now hands things off. Savoni still the main back, and Savoni looking for more touchdowns. He'll add somehow. Touchdown, Fratmen. And another running touchdown for Savoni. He had a 47-yarder earlier. Another 30-plus added here.
Yeah, and they just ran again that same counter tray action there, and he was untouched. He ran past his escort and found a sideline. The only way you get that clean up the left sideline is if your receivers are blocking for you as well. He's just made his case even more so for being the best running back in the league. We probably already knew that beforehand. His carries have been so few and far between today that he's still fresh.
14 touchdowns now on the season. The yardage totals at least already above 700, approaching 800 now with that TD. Chance to add on to the points now with another conversion. Kick is up, kick is good, 64-0, and that now surpasses the points scored by the Fratmen the last time they played GTA.
And I suspect you might see a 70 burger in this game because the defense, I'm telling you right now, I don't know a defensive back who isn't going to try to return one. So if a defensive back gets his hands on a ball and he has a sprint to a sideline or sprint to an end zone, they will exercise that option to try to score. Again, they love to ball hawk.
So getting things up ready for the kickoff once more.
New kicker, though, Justin. Looks like Holloway's not kicking. It's 21 this time.
So they are giving Preston Knight, the backup kicker and punter, a chance here. We haven't seen too much of Knight this season.
That's because Holloway's been playing some safety. Maybe they're just trying to save him a little bit.
So we'll see how Knight does as the backup kicker here. First kickoff of the day for him. And it starts off with the miscommunication with several whistles.
Yeah, because the initial whistle didn't go in. He's got to wait till the head referee gives the initial wind in. The play clock didn't even start, so he just thought everyone was ready. He's got to wait until it's actually blown into play.
Welcome to the OFC. Now it's blown into play.
Now we can start. Now everything can get going, and now he just got to make sure he kicks it before those 20 seconds wind down, and he's already down to 12.
By the way, you've seen the dancing fan moments ago. That has actually started a breakdancing party amongst 4 different fans. Now, we'll try this again. A little bit more loft to this one. Picked up and dropped around the 20. Picked back up and return across the 30. Down to the 35. Another good return from Carano.
It's nice to see him back. He had that injury earlier in the game, and he's back in here fighting through the end. Had he caught this cleanly, he might have gotten a little bit more, but fortunately it got a good bounce, and he was able to pick up some positive yards crossing the 30 to 34-yard line. Just short of that 35-yard main stripe as it's spotted.
So we'll see how Boyd tries to adapt here after the pick 6, the last throw from him. They're just waiting for the last of the linebackers, who is playing both sides of the ball, as it's been a common trend today for Samuel Mensah, who was amongst one of the team's top tacklers coming in. So 1st and 10 at the 35-yard line, approaching now 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. Boyd looks to throw again, this time through double coverage, incomplete. This time intended for Jacob Karpik, the first time we've seen the target towards his way today.
Yeah, and there was a little under and over coverage to it. That had to be dropped in perfectly. Now, as you can see, the bracket under and then over, he was unable to bring it down. So it's going to bring up that second down situation. And the absence of any run this whole game, and again, I don't know the reasoning behind it because they are so shorthanded. It just might be they don't have any personnel who know all the run schemes, because they really are 20 people on the field on the whole team. So I'm not going to be too critical of that, but it makes it easy for a defense.
Again, 44 passes by Purvis the whole season coming in. Boyd, meanwhile, gets absolutely blitzed. The ball's on the turf, incomplete.
And that was indeed incomplete. It was batted down, and he did get hit as he was throwing, so the ball did come out of his hands as a forward pass. You'll see here on the replay, Coach Morency dialed up a little bit of pressure, and off that backside, the hit came. It was batted down, and it could have been scooped and scored, and that's number 46. That looks like one of my old high school football players. Had that been a live ball, might have seen Everett scamper one in for a touchdown there.
Everett Van Loer, in particular. Heard you discussing 5 different players who played for you on this team.
Yeah, I have 5 that, and it was nice to see them. I spoke to 3 of them before the game. That was nice to always see those guys out there. And Everett and Dalton, his brother Dalton, plays on the team. Matt O'Neill is predominantly the long center, and then David Riem and Nash Preer, running backs, active players here, and they all played for me at Essex High. I was very proud seeing my guys out here, but they're super kids, and that's probably the most important thing.
Meanwhile, the punt, the wind rejects it. How about a 0-yard punt? My goodness.
Yeah, and the referees will always blow that down if it doesn't get past the line of scrimmage, and it's in a cluster. He saw some pressure, and he just shanked one right off the shin, and the Fratmen offense, with a few backups in, have an opportunity to add to their total.
They gave him credit for another yard or 2 and all that, and that's not what you expect to see. Now it's 1st and 10 to the 37. And last time, Mayu made quick work, and now the backup running back is now in. It's David Riem. In fact, they're actually going to third string directly, skipping right on Kean Vokes, who has 7.1 yards per carry. Mayu starts off with a pass down the sideline, incomplete.
Yeah, they were in an I set there, so it does look like Vokes was the primary tailback and Riem was at the fullback spot, because both are on the field right now. So they're just going into a basic set, and you see Mayu. Mayu, we saw a couple years ago, has a big, strong arm. That one, he's throwing from that corner with the wind, and that one just sailed on him a little bit. Yeah, and we do see Riem at fullback and Folks at tailback right now.
So Riem now fullback, Folks as the tailback. Two in the motion. On the right side of the field, they go to Vokes. Vokes cuts left, tries to spin ahead, picks up a couple more yards, and multiple flags come out for some contact.
Yeah, that's going to be, I'm wondering if they're going to call targeting here, because you'll see on the replay, it was crown a helmet to the helmet by the next defender right there. He lowered his head, and it is the right call. They should go. Fortunately, it was more of a glancing blow than it was a direct blow, but I would venture a guess that this is going to be targeting, which we haven't seen this year. And you know what? I will say this as well. A couple of the Grizzly players came up and said, well, we didn't mean that. Like, it's a fast-paced game. There was no ill intent in that play. He was just trying to come in and make a final play. And like always, whenever there is a headshot, they will take the player out. So it looks like Vokes is going to come to the sideline and at the very least talk to the coach just to ensure all safety is adhered to, making sure that he is okay. He got up relatively quickly. Like I said, it was more of a glancing shot, but here's the call.
We've got targeting,
and that
number
is
34,
the indication for targeting.
25-yard
so
penalty,
they make the fist
and
to
the first
head,
down.
That
That's
player
the
is disqualified for the rest of that game. So he's going to have to leave, and again, they were already shorthanded as it is, but they're going to walk off the 15 yards here, and that young man's going to have to leave the game.
By the way, that is one of the main coaches for this team in Mike Kaburski, who was a successful OVFC coach, who won a couple Coach of the Years now, who is actually still on the field here for the 2nd and 10. The ball moved up all the way to the 6.
The penalty brought it all the way down to the 6.
Yes.
So at the end of the run, they added on the 15 yards.
And they've actually allowed Vokes back on the field after being checked by the medical staff, too.
Yeah, he got up right away. It didn't appear that he had any cobwebs or anything like that, using the word cobweb, because that's all I see on our Jumbotron here with the scoreboard there.
Yep. And there is the coach for GTA I was referring to there, coming all the way out onto the field.
Yeah, it's just being explained to him. He understands. He gets it. The bottom line is that intent doesn't have to follow the play there, Justin. The fact is the player lowered his head, led with the crown, and he hit another opponent in the head, and that's what they're trying to eliminate. Yeah. That's just as dangerous for the tackler as it is for the ball carrier.
Yeah.
Again, I did not see any malicious intent there, but you still have to apply the targeting, and now it's 1st and goal from the 6-yard line.
That was Bowies who was attempting that play, by the way, that drew the flags, as Mayu now sets things up for 1st and goal. Quick throw, Rutherford trying to charge ahead, still being spun around, brought down at about the 1 or 2 yard line. 2nd and goal.
Nice tackle there. Did not want to give it up on his clock here, so you'll see they just do a little bit of a quick out, and that's number 6, and he just did not want to give that up and just made sure that it was not going to be scored on his clock there. And Justin, who is that for
Paginen.
The visitors?
Paginen.
Perfect. And that young man was like, hey, playing with some pride there. We're gonna tackle you. You're gonna earn every yard, and he did not give up that last yard.
Keep in mind, he had 11 tackles coming in and 2 interceptions. He's played very well and also has been a big part of GTA's return game today. 2nd and goal, marked to the 1. Vokes trying to push in.
He did not get it. Good on the defense here. They just ran just a straight ISO play, and it looks like Vokes maybe tried to press it back to his left when I think maybe the hole was outside. But nonetheless, it's a 3rd down.
And it looks like Mayu and company will stay on the field here. Vokes just 1 touchdown this season. 22 carries coming in with 156 yards. Looking to change that for 3rd and goal. There have been 3 turnovers on downs by the Fratmen this season. Mayu under center. Electing to pass it. Going short, complete touchdown, Dylan Samuels.
Yeah, and that was a box out. That was a basketball box out. You get some leverage on the guy. You make yourself nice and wide. The quarterback throws it right at your chest plate, right on the numbers. And now that gets it to 70. And you'll see here on the replay, he's just looking at one guy. And the receiver did a good job of boxing out the defender. It wasn't played poorly. It was just executed a little bit better by the offense.
With 1:20 to go in the 3rd quarter, the Fratmen now have a chance with the extra point to make it 71-0. So they have reached that 70 mark, one of the highest totals they've had against a team this season. Not the highest. Up and away. Hallway back in for this extra point. Make it 71-0. And it's gotten to the point where you can see some of the players seeing the clips around on social media from some of the plays today.
Yeah, there's a lot of highlights today to be had. Now it's just a matter of getting out of here safely for the last 16-20. You got the fourth quarter still to play. But they're going to wind it in even in a dead ball situation. I think they're just going to let this wind in. And there's a chance that the Grizzlies might be talking right now as an organization, just saying, we came out, we played the third quarter, guys. We might just have to call this game right now. I would not be surprised, obviously. The score is, there's no chance for it, but just to come back on it.
There is that huddle discussion. And it looks like they are sending the players back out to the field.
Yeah, the coach might have very well talked to his guys and say, you want to finish this out? You want to play this out? And I'm not saying that it's a decision that he wants to take lightly. It's a player safety decision. We know that a couple of the Grizzly guys were taken out. The starting quarterback is out. You already were absent. You're starting running back and leading tackler and leading receiver coming into this game. So it's one of those situations where you just do not want to put your players in a bad spot.
Meanwhile, the wind continues to play chaos for the kicks. This went to one of the up men and brought down around the 35. That time, quick heads up, Antonio Chambers.
Yeah, it's playing havoc because Holloway's not kicking. Holloway would have rode the wind on that one, but they were getting single after single on that. So now the offense is coming back out, and this is likely going to be the final play of the quarter.
Yes, with the rolling clock, you hear the buzzer in the backdrop. There's the signal for 1st and 10, 34-yard line, as some of the Fratmen players return to the sideline, including Brennan Bondi, once the center of that last shot. So we'll see how the third quarter wraps up here. Last play of the quarter. Again, two back to the side of Boyd. No running plays, essentially, today from GTA. This will end the frame. Boyd, forced to scramble, brought down from behind, loses a couple on the sack. Anthony Garib leads the charge that time. That will end off the third quarter of play.
And Anthony does a nice little rip move, gets there, and then he just runs into it, and he was sandwiched. The quarterback gets sandwiched there. And another sack, another add to the accolades for the defense. They've scored a bunch. They've created some turnovers here. And now, I'm telling you, the defense is playing hard because they're playing for that big goose egg. They want to leave that 0 up on that scoreboard, something that has been elusive this entire year because they have not shut out anybody. The Grizzlies did get a single point in that opener this year.
So rolling clock is already underway for the fourth quarter as we have finished 3. 71-0 the score, and the T-shirt cannons going off once more here on We Digital. And a lot of happy fans still amongst the concourse. And keep in mind, with the rolling clock, this will go quickly for the fourth. Already nearly a minute off the clock here at Acumen Stadium. And they're already setting up for the next play for 2nd and 13.
Yeah, the Fratmen just got to now look forward. I know there's a quarter left, but they got to look forward to their next game. They got to get themselves ready, get in a situation where their mindset is, okay, we got the conference all locked up right now. We got to start playoff mode starting this minute.
Incomplete for Boyd. That makes it 3rd down. So what do you feel will be the main things to watch for then for the final game of the regular season against Hamilton, knowing how things are playing out with that Hurricanes matchup against London and what to be factored in?
I think it's going to be a combination of both. I think the question is going to be as much what Hamilton's going to want to do.
Yes.
If Hamilton says they're going to concede that they're not going to come to Windsor and beat the Fratmen, they might look at it and say, maybe we don't come out and play our full roster and try to be healthy to go to London and win. We'll try to get ready for a finals matchup against Windsor. So Hamilton might have a little bit of say as to how they want to come out. So we're not going to know until they decide their dress roster for the final game of the year.
That's an interesting point to bring up. 3rd and 13. Punt is off and away. And a solid punt this time. Turned once again by Cooper. Cooper trying to go out to the left. Cooper slides around. A flag is down. And now Cooper gets stomped.
Yeah, anytime you go from one sideline to the next sideline, that's a lot to ask from your recovery or return men, and your blockers to sustain that. So I would venture, I guess you got a hold or a block in the back.
Holding.
If we do
number
have
96.
a hold there, and that's just going to back
It's going
them
to be a
up.
first down.
So move that back. That was around the point where he started cutting around midfield to the left side of it. To his route.
This ball is kicked clearly to the numbers and on the right side, and he's going to work all the way to his left. So it is difficult at times. You will see, and there is a good picture of the hold. Number 5 got grabbed, so that is indeed the right call. But you get the offense back on the field, and they're going to start at their own 44-yard line.
Yes, it is, and it's time for some new names to play at QB. So move in Owen Mallett Bennett to the QB spot. The running back, Nash Prier, rushes it out towards the outside for a pick of about 7 or 8.
Yeah, and that's nice to see that the backfield, both David blocking and Nash. I saw a ton of that in my high school because those were my running backs for me a few years back. So watching David and Nash as the combination right now is personally nice to see. Nash is a capable runner, and I know this year Jacob has just been a man among boys, but Nash is capable of making some plays of his own.
So that makes it 2nd and 2, 8 yards, the official pickup. 2 in the motion this time. Back to the ground game, and there was a bit of contact there on the handoff.
Yeah, and this is miscommunication here. They were trying to run the counter again, and that counter there, it's all about mesh, and you wonder how many times these guys have actually practiced that. I would venture a guess that this was more on Nash than it was on the quarterback because it should have been over top of the quarterback. At least that's how it was with Michael. And in this case scenario, Nash tried to skate under the quarterback, and that was probably just a lack of experience between the two of them in practice because I'm guessing this combination has not seen a lot of reps.
They keep him on the field here for 3rd and about 1. Back to the ground game and immediate pressure. Brought down hard. This time, Bonas with the tackle for loss, and that's a turnover on downs. Fratmen's 4 for the season.
Yeah, and that was a nice fill by the safety. He came screaming up the field. This is the one who had that interception earlier. He just went straight zero blitz, and he came right up the seam, and he knew they were coming forward on a 3rd and short, and he met him in the backfield, and that was a good tackle there to create the turnover on downs, which is, again, something that I know no high school football coach, no junior football coach, no varsity football coach or university football coach ever wants to not see a first 1-yard gain lost. You get the neutral zone. You should fall forward whenever it's 3rd and 1.
So a timeout was just called on the field, by the way. Fratman's side signal, I believe, on that. That's their first of the half.
Yeah, they're just changing in personnel, so whenever you have that.
That's because Prier was still talking with his coaches there, and he's now back on the field for the defensive side of the ball, too.
Right, so you're trying to make substitutions. You're trying to get some other guys out on the field. So oftentimes this late in the game, you will find that you have substitution problems. So now you make sure you got 12 on 12 and you move forward after the timeout.
So just about ready for 1st and 10 at the 52-yard line. GTA looking to break up the shutout. It's to the point where some of the backs are actually clapping along with the music. Just moments ago, Amadia was actually waving his hands to the music for the grandstands. Throw by Boyd, incomplete.
Yeah, that might have been, if we see the replay here, that might have been just a little early.
Yeah. Oh, there's a flag now down. There's a flag now down, and this is going to be why. Look at that.
It was just a little early. Now, the referee, we're going to see what the call is, but...
Believe it might be pass interference, yes.
Number 23, St.Clair. It's a spot foul. Comes with a first down.
It was Enzi Ute who made the contact there, and I know that was the reaction from him probably was, where was that?
Yeah, so was maybe just a little early, but they're trying. They do not want to give up these points. Like I said, you got 12 guys in white right now that do not want to be responsible for blowing the shutout.
So 1st and 10 now at the 41 after the penalty. Already some indication from Amedia for some adjustments. Boyd looking to scramble, throwing it through near triple coverage, incomplete. That time for Costa and company.
Yeah, that there was just the quarterback scrambling to his right. Fortunately for him, he picked the right side because it was away from the blitz because the overload was coming from his left. And it just was too high for Costa and fortunately not intercepted.
So 2nd down and 10. The rolling clock now sees things to about 8 minutes to go. You've seen some of the communication there moments ago with Patterson and company with that coverage. And as the music continues to pump around, things getting ready for 2nd and 10. 2 in the motion, yet again receiver-wise. Boyd throws it to the flat, complete. Brought across the 40. Around to the 1st down markers. And that will be close. Depends on the spot here. Might be right at the chains.
Yeah, it looks like he just has enough for the 1st down.
Yes, indeed.
And the pressure came, and the linebacker was out of leverage. And in this case scenario, they caught him in the right call. And he was able to get out and get just past the 1st down. And now it's going to put them in the scoring zone, if you will, or pretty darn close to it. This is the deepest the Grizzlies have gotten all day.
Looking to get into the red zone for the first time today now. Boyd incomplete. Intended for Amedia.
Yeah, and that time Coach Morency just said, we're going to call off the pressure and we're going to let our front four get there. In that case scenario, even if that was complete, there was looked like a rally of at least 3 people in position as you see the sideline interaction between some players, some coaches, and some of these young dressed up fans.
And that guy on the left, by the way, I've always seen him around and is always a major supporter of St.Clair sports at the complex, I will say. He always makes the time to say hello to everyone from the Wheat Digital side as well. 2nd and 10 at 31. Now sending things up, Boyd. Elects to try and throw deep and instead throws a duck for an interception. And we'll see how this plays out here.
He stepped out of bounds after the interception, but nonetheless, that's exactly what the defense wanted. They do not want to give up those points. The offense is going to come back on the field. I bet you this time, now that Preer played some defense, he'll go back and you'll see Vokes this time on the running side. But yeah, it's an ill-advised throw, but he caught it and he stepped out of bounds immediately after
Number
his
11
first foot
GTA,
was in play.
10-yard penalty.
So you get the turnover there. It's just now a matter of running this clock continuously, let this thing go down. If the Fratmen can muster 2 first downs, then they can take a knee and they can call it a day.
2nd interception picked up by Patterson, by the way, today, as the game of catch has now spread to those with the costumes here.
Perfect.
And you see the other fans loving this score total. With about 5 minutes to go in the 4th. Another quarterback is in. Another rush by Vokes. Picks up a couple. Jason Nuzzum this time is now the quarterback in. So they're to the 4th string.
Yeah, and they got some different bodies in. It looks like number 45 is at the fullback spot for them, and that is going to be London Dawson. As Vokes and Dawson come off the field for this play. So they're going to the well, they're going to different players, and they're trying to give different people some opportunities right now.
Among some for the receiving side of note is Carson Cleater, 6'2", 280 pounds. Keep an eye on number 24. 2 in the motion this time. To the ground game once again. Handed off to Riem. Riem finds a seam. Riem across the 45, brought down just shy of the 50.
Yeah, and those are the counter this time again. And this time the mesh was a little bit better between quarterback and running back, and you'll see this time the lineman will come and try to escort him from the left to the right, and David gets the handoff and works his way up that right sideline, gets up the hash, and then finds his way up to about a 25-yard gain as they approach midfield. Good run, good blocking, good execution all around for the men on the field right now.
49-yard line is where this 1st and 10 will come from, with under 4 minutes to go now. 1 running back setting up, 5 wide receivers set. Three receivers send the motion slowly this time. Hand it back off to Riem. Riem cuts right again. Tries to give a stiff arm. Tries to cut to the sideline. Picks up a few yards on the carry.
Yeah, nice improvisation there by Riem. He went left, didn't see anything, a little bit of penetration. He was able to bounce up to the right sideline and pick up about 6 yards as we have an injured Grizzly down.
And that's going to cause a bit of a stoppage here as it was immediately signaled for help for Davian Braithwaite, who's made a couple big tackles today for GTA. So another injury stoppage with 3:25 to go in the fourth quarter. 71-0 the score here. An intriguing game overall in how this is played out here, as we see some of the various different helpers here at the campus of St. Clair College. Some really got into the spirit of Halloween. Yes, that is a person dressed as a baby.
Yeah, they are a big baby.
That's the way to put it. As everyone huddles together as the Grizzly is now being helped up to their feet. This is the point where you can see he's trying to wave back towards the sideline possibly.
Well, he doesn't want anyone to help him off. That's all. He wants to walk under his own power. It looked like a teammate was going to just sort of help him to the sideline, and no need for that. He says, I got it. I'm going to enjoy a little bit of the sun as I walk back. But I'm going to give all the credit in the world to these Grizzly players. They did not play chippy. They did not play whiny. They did not play dirty. They did not play cheap. They played severely undermanned. Severely.
Yeah.
And that's an understatement. Like, getting off the bus, they knew they virtually had zero chance, but they came out and they competed with everything stacked against them without being complete jerks. And the sportsmanship they exhibited when the Fratmen player was injured earlier is one of the reasons why sport is such a good thing for the community.
Inside the 3-minute warning now. Rolling clock is still in effect. 2:50 to go. Nuzum hands things off to Riem for 2nd and 4. Riem kicks ahead for a 1st and 10.
Yeah, same play, just a little counter action there, and good on the lineman to create just enough of a seam for David to get vertical and pick up the first down and keep this clock rolling. And then that is now their second, maybe their third first down of this drive. So now it's just a mere formality. They're just going to be able to run this through here. Regardless, these next 3 snaps, if they do take all of them, will effectively end the game.
So, with this victory, the Fratmen move to 7-0, remain undefeated, and clinch first in the OFC regular season standings in a playoff matchup against the Quinte Skyhawks, November the 13th. Nuzum, 1st and 10, batted down, incomplete. That makes it 2nd and 10. The clock continues to roll with under 2 minutes to play. For GTA, though, they will finish the year 0-8.
Yeah, like this is the 4th string quarterback. I'm not sure how many actual snaps he has taken this year, and not to mention how many throws he's actually tried. I know we saw him a couple weeks ago against Quinte, but realistically speaking, he's just trying to get some game experience. I mean, they're just trying to run a little bit of a hook. Wouldn't surprise me if they come right back to the counter right now and try to grind it out on the ground.
5'11" quarterback hands it off to Riem. Riem, getting the spin cycle, picks up about 5 yards or so to make it 3rd and medium. So a few more plays left to go in this matchup. And we'll see if they elect to go with the special teams unit. At the very least, it looks like Hallway is being signaled towards the field here, yes, so they will punt this away with under a minute to play.
Yeah, and I mean, they'll just run this down, even take the penalty if they have to. And
the play clock isn't rolling, keep in mind, so they can take as much time as needed.
Yeah, the referees are just letting the substitutions happen. Once the substitutions are happened, he'll blow in the play clock.
Yeah.
My guess is they're going to try to wait till about 30 seconds right now to effectively make this the last play of the game, Justin.
And Knight has actually now been signaled in. Hallway came out at first. They then signal for Knight to take this punt. Under 30 seconds to play. Bit of time taken now by Knight. Bounces off one of the upmen. There's the no yards flag as the Grizzlies are brought down inside the 20.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if they're going to let them run one last play here. They might just call it because it is going to expire. They can take a knee. If not, they can run one last offensive play, but we'll see what the White Hats are going to decide. There is the penalty.
So they pick back up the flag, it looks like here, in fact. Some of the Grizzlies are already making their way to the field, and that will conclude this matchup. The Fratmen take a 71-0 victory over the GTA Grizzlies. That moves them to 7-0 for St. Clair. GTA finishes season 0-8.
All right, Justin, well, have a happy Thanksgiving. Excuse me.
Happy Halloween.
We're
yes.
in between. I got a holiday right. At least it's Halloween.
With that post-game coverage is coming up with Dominic Papa. He's now waiting at the sidelines now with the Fratmen. Dom?
LaChance of the victorious Fratmen football squad, 71-0 over the GTA Grizzlies. Congratulations on the win, Coach. Really no surprise. I guess the question I ask here, Coach, is you had the bye week coming into the game. How was practice, and how did you feel your team played despite the time off?
Practice was good. We always have good intensity in practice. Us versus us is always intense. It's spotty today. It's hard to get into a rhythm. I think it took about 4 or 5 minutes to get the ball back after we had it the first time. We only had 5 offensive series in the first half, so it's always hard to get into a rhythm like that. So,
I guess when you come into a game like this and you know it's a mismatch in many ways, what do you hope to take out of it? What do you work on? You still have a big game next week, and then you want to get ready for playoffs.
Yeah, we started the game in hurry up the first 3 series, and it was just a matter of trying to get used to it. We haven't had a lot of opportunities to do that. We took a couple early field goal shots that normally I might go for on 3rd and short again, something we haven't really had the opportunity to work on much. So there were some things we needed to work on, and I thought we did a good job doing that. Again, though, like I said, it's hard to get into a rhythm, and then the injury kind of threw things off, and it's tough.
Yeah, the injury, we spoke to Ted Beal about it a little bit. Do you have anything more that you can tell us about it, Coach?
I mean, I would assume it's a broken leg, lower leg, looked like above the ankle with Kenley Williams, a great young corner that we have, and we've certainly been hit in the defensive backfield. We had 21 to start camp, and I think we're down to 6, so it's tough. Had a lot of injuries this year.
Tough spot, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Let's go right to next week, Coach. You have Hamilton. This is the makeup game from earlier on in the campaign, and it'll be the last regular season game before you hit to the playoffs. Home field's clinched. That's always nice to have in your back pocket. Do you go full force, or is it a game that maybe you just give some other guys a little bit of chance to play here?
100% full force. Yeah, we're going to go out and treat this like it's a playoff prep. Hamilton's a really tough opponent. They got a great coaching staff. So we'll come into it ready to go, and we'll prepare really hard for this game.
I know you'll have the guys ready, Coach. Appreciate your time here today. Congrats on the win again, and look forward to some really good things coming up here.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
Coach Mike LaChance doing another great job with his Fratmen football squad. Very convincing victory here this afternoon, 71-0 over GTA. You just heard Coach LaChance game next week. That'll be on Saturday night, November 6th. We'll be right back here at Acumen Stadium, a 7 p.m. kickoff. We'll have all the action for you live here on We Digital Production. So that's the story for today. On behalf of everybody here at We Digital Productions, this is Dominic Papa thanking you for tuning in. Take care, everybody, and don't forget the trick-or-treaters will be out tonight. Be careful, be safe, take your time, and treat them really well. Have a good time with it. Until then, take care, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon.